Welcome to ServantKing. I messed up. I'm my bad. Welcome everybody to ServantKing. I'm tripping. I got it. Welcome everybody to Servant Real here on ServantKing TV. Well, y'all know what we do, man. We sit down, we talk to the entrepreneurs, the creators, the influencers, man. People that's making an impact on the culture. And today, like I tell y'all every week, I got a very, very special guest. This man be moving. If you catch him here, he ain't gonna be there too long. Don't blink, cause he gonna be over there. He got everything from Blackfilmsmatter to what he doing at the Cookbook Restaurant with the Culture Lounge, man. And we gonna tap into everything. So, without further ado, what's going on, Mr. Trey Ford?
Man, everything is everything. How you doing?
I appreciate you coming,
Yes,
brother.
sir.
I appreciate you coming.
Absolutely.
Well, like I was telling you before we started, I'm a fan. I first got on you when I was seeing the Black Films Matter movement, and I really started to see when y'all did the release of the Black Messiah, how y'all put that together. But take me back, bro, to the beginning, how it all started. Tell me a little bit about where you from.
Okay. So, how far back you want me to go? You said where I'm from?
Where you from? Yeah.
Okay. So, if I go all the way back, I was born in Louisville, and then Louisville, Kentucky, and then immediately after that, my family moved to Miami, like literally weeks after I was born. Moved to Miami, and that's where I was between pretty much birth and moving to Jacksonville, which was in 7th grade. So, got to Jacksonville in 7th grade, graduated high school, Paxton, 2005, and then I head over to University of Florida and pursue my bachelor's degree, get my bachelor's degree there. And I've been gone from Jacksonville pretty much since 2005. So I moved back into Jacksonville 2019.
Okay.
And
so you've been going about almost 15 years.
15 years, yeah. So once I moved back, that's when, and a little bit before even, while I was living in Gainesville, I did a couple of things in Jacksonville, but upon moving back, that's where, I started to get grounded here, get a foundation here with Black Films Matter, and like you said, with Culture Lounge Jacksonville.
Okay, so let's start there. So when you graduate, you go to college.
Yep.
At that time, is films something you thinking about, or is this
Not
something
at
that
all.
comes on later? What do you think about when you go to college? What's the career goals, and what's the things that you think about when you go there?
So my degree is in agricultural operations management, which is with a focus in construction planning. It's basically similar to what you might get if you want to go and be a project manager on construction sites and things like that, and then you can pursue the license of a general contractor, and then you can become a contractor. So the degree itself is employable in construction, but then you get a contractor's license to actually do that type of work. So that's what I was actually pursuing. I was going to get that degree, and the type of contracting I was going to do was going to be based around agriculture.
Okay.
And it was just one of those things where you grab the degree that you think makes the most sense,
Right.
but then you end up transitioning into maybe something that's more of a fit for you.
Right.
And so all throughout college, I was always in marketing, sales, and I pledged a fraternity in college, Phi Beta Sigma, Blue Phi, So during college, the business of a fraternity often deals with throwing events.
Okay.
And so between
okay.
the marketing, sales, and throwing events in college, it was things that I was doing that I was enjoying, and I was actually falling behind college-wise because I would always be working.
Right.
So it was like I'm pursuing this degree. I'm not really doing anything as far as internships in this degree or
just got it.
I'm just getting it just to get it, but I'm doing all these other things that I'm passionate about, and not really studying that in school. So I haven't really used my degree yet. I still plan to,
right.
later on in life. But I think for now, most of the skills that's coming up that people get to see in Jacksonville is coming from, most of my college work and community service and in my professional work, which would be in sales.
It's crazy that you're talking about that, and I try not to hone in on this too much because I don't want people to think we here knocking college.
Right.
But so many people come here that they went to college, they pursued a degree that they were not passionate about.
Right.
But it was something either the parents were passionate about, maybe they thought in high school it was part of the American dream, per se.
Sure.
And now it's totally on the back burner, but they've followed this. They've used some skills from it, but they haven't actually taken advantage of the degree. So once you got the degree, you're doing all these things that you're passionate about. What's the next move? You got the degree, but you say you never use it.
Right.
So what's the next move?
The next thing I did after having the degree was after having a couple of jobs after college, I started a magazine that was for an affluent neighborhood in Gainesville, and basically the revenue driver for the magazine was selling advertising. So again, marketing and marketing and sales was my main function inside of that magazine, even though I was the owner of it. And within the magazine, I'm also throwing events for the neighborhood that it's for. So we're showcasing different families and their students or their kids and their pets, their yards, whatever we want to showcase in this neighborhood is kind of for them, by them. And within that, we're also having a meet and greet here and there, or whether it's cigar type of party for the fellas, or whether it's we had a sushi rolling event. Now, when I say affluent, I'm talking about, typically affluent is lighter hue than us, And so, I'm doing all these things using this skill set, but not for our people necessarily.
Gotcha.
And so, I end up kind of being in a little bit of a bubble in that profession. Because I'm doing it.
It's only it's only a certain group of people you can.
I'm only interacting with a certain group. I'm interacting with this neighborhood, and the people who wants to reach this neighborhood through advertising. So those are and my family. You know what I mean? So those are the only people I'm with, and from there, basically what happened is, in Gainesville, there's not a lot to do for the 25 to 40-year-old.
Right, because it's a college town.
It's a college town. Especially the black people in Gainesville, they're going to go to Orlando, Atlanta. They're going to get out of town usually for their fun. And, there's things here and there. That's not to knock what's going on there, but it's not. It's few and far between. You know what I mean? And so what ended up transpiring is, these different things would happen, like kickbacks or brunches. And we started to meet each other, and a group of Gainesville professionals wanted to come together to do like a group economics version of investing. So an investment club where, we were trying to figure everything out, from how much do we need to put in per person, whether it needs to be a monthly thing or just, a lump sum. And then what are we going to do with that money to flip it? And so this is important because we called it Gainesville Black Wall Street. So, Black Wall Street was that area in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where really the first bombing went down. Before 9/11, there was people who dropped bombs on a black neighborhood and ended, I want to say, hundreds of businesses.
Whole black community.
Yeah, the whole black community, and they had to rebuild from there. And I say all that to say, Black Wall Street is synonymous with black business, and really having that black, I think it's synonymous with black real estate as well, because it's the businesses, but it's also like owning the block too. And so anyway, we thought of it as an initiative to, put that first pillar down, whether it was a brick and mortar business or whatever. And it was just a lot of people who were very busy. So there were people who are in business for themselves, educators. University of Florida is a college town. Everything that you can think of in between. And it just dwindled down. There wasn't really a core leader necessarily. And I think some people were in it only for their idea. It didn't work out, I think, and it was never any animosity or anything like that. It just kind of fizzled out.
I got you.
So there was no abrupt. It just kind of fizzled down, and what happened was, me and my business partner Aaron Day, he's the first black photographer for a lot of different things in Gainesville, and I'll just say from the Gainesville Guardian on up to the University of Florida. So he's been kind of a black first throughout Gainesville. So anyway, him and I had skill sets that paired together, where it ended up being like, hey, why don't we use the name Gainesville Black Wall Street and throw probably what's going to be the only private screening to Black Panther in town. So this is about 3 years ago. This is 2018. February 2018.
When Black Panther first came out.
When Black Panther first came out. So that's what we did. It was just two guys. Gainesville Black Wall Street was two of us, and we wanted it to be more of like we really just wanted to showcase our skill set. So me as a sales, as a creative consultant, him with his photography, and also he's really good at graphic design and can edit things and stuff like that. So we really wanted to use it as, we're throwing this event, but we're showing you here's what we could do, because we had to do everything for the event. The planning, the logistics, the graphic design.
So more so showcasing the skills.
Correct. And we wanted to transition those skills into jobs with different companies that were black owned. And so that's where Black Wall Street went for us, at least, was, you know, if we can with our skill set that we've built over time, enhance these black-owned businesses to where they scale, to where they have a succession plan, that's the generational wealth. You know, instead of waiting for reparations, you know, we kind of creating our own reparations through entrepreneurship.
Right.
And we're not the only ones doing it. You know, it was just our brand of it. And you know, but once we had that first Gainesville Black Wall Street event, Black Panther, it ended up turning into when y'all having another event.
Right.
And I think I don't think it was the event was special, but I want to say that it was special, but also people were starving for that.
Okay.
Just the interaction between the young professionals that are not in college.
Right. Okay. So y'all putting these events together. Where does Black Films Matter then come from? Is that a part of it, or is that something you branched off and did? How do you?
So Gainesville Black Wall Street was the company itself, and then Black Films Matter was like a subsection or just like an event programming, and it wasn't its own thing. It was just so we were trying to use that as a resume, and then we would go and do another type of event like a brunch or, you know, a day party or whatever.
Okay, so y'all were throwing more than just like film events. Y'all were throwing whatever.
What ended up happening too was a friend of mine from college reached out about a comedy show, so we ended up coming up with a comedy show concept for, you know, for somebody who hadn't already been, you know, on Netflix or made it big or whatever. We had like it was called the Fake Famous Comedy Tour, which the main comedian came up with, Barry Naylor. And you know, it actually came from he did a viral tweet, and so he became fake famous from the tweet. We just used that name, but you know, he's Mr. Fake Famous, so we use that and kind of use it as an outlet for smaller comedians, and I don't want to say smaller, but maybe lesser known comedians in different cities, you know, that we were visiting. We would have them jump on too. A lot of them were his friends, so. Fake Famous Comedy, again, and it's edutainment is kind of the goal. So it's not just necessarily trying to throw a party per se, but trying to create an entertainment-based event, but then share information somewhere in that. So at the comedy shows, at Black Films Matter, at brunches or whatever, we're trying to get you this black attorney that does, you know, copyright law. We're trying to get you this information about this, that, the third, you know, whatever it is. And so that's kind of like the Trojan horse, so to speak.
Okay, and entertainment mixed with showcasing or promoting black businesses. Create that circle. Oh, okay. So now this is in Gainesville when y'all doing this, right? What's your thought process once you're back here though? Because y'all did Black Panther. When y'all did the Black Panther event, was it? Hey, we gonna carry this thing on, we're gonna do this more like we did in Gainesville, or?
Not really. So the Black Panther event was just because it was Black Panther.
Just because it was,
Black Panther. Now what we did do was we ended up doing some blaxploitation films at a smaller theater. And when I say blaxploitation films, those are the films around the 70s when black people didn't have a lot of opportunity in film, whether it was for acting or whatever. And so we did Cleopatra Jones and Sidney Poitier movies like Pressure Point. What else we do? Blackula, which was about a black Dracula who was kind of like killing white people. So, you know, Cleopatra Jones was like kind of like a James Bond. You know what I mean? Like, but she had an afro. She's fighting racists. You know what I'm saying? So, even Dolomite, and then you got Dolomite Is My Name, which is about the creation of Dolomite. So anyway, long story short, we did that series. But we're kind of intuitive with what movie we show, so there wasn't really a fit for Black Films Matter until Queen and Slim came out. So we even did comedy shows in Jacksonville before we did 2 comedy shows in Jacksonville before we ever did a Black Films Matter here. And it was because Queen and Slim was coming out, and through the poetry community in Gainesville initially, through a young lady named Leah Hayes. What's up, Leah, if you're watching this? And the poetry community here through Moses West, they knew a key character in the movie. So
they knew
Queen and Slim. Queen and Slim, yeah. So he doesn't have a big role. And actually, it's been a lot. I'm over here trying not to spoil it. It's been out for long enough. You shouldn't know. So the guy at the very end, who betrays him at the very end, that's who they knew.
They knew him.
And you know, he's a poet and educator and actor from Miami, you know what I mean? And so he got this role, And like I said, Leah in Gainesville and Moses West in Jacksonville knew who he was. And so they were actually trying to get the movie. I won't say they were trying to get the movie done in Orlando, but Orlando was an option too. Yeah. So it was like, should we do it in Orlando or Jacksonville? Okay. And so some people were leaning towards Orlando, some people were leaning towards Jacksonville, and Jacksonville kind of won out in the end. So that was Thanksgiving of 2019, that weekend. Okay. And we had that event paired with a Juice Day party the very next day at a hookah lounge. Okay. So again, with the Fake Famous, we had a Fake Famous comedy show, and then it was kind of paired with the art district. So trying to utilize art, literature, film to facilitate that renaissance, getting people in front of information, getting people into a certain vibe and a certain mind state of, which again, it's not that we're creating it, we just want to facilitate and push it. Right. And there's a whole bunch of people creating it, so it's like everybody's kind of pushing that wave, and it's good because it's like one band, one sound at the same time.
So as y'all, is what y'all doing now is it where, okay, we're doing what we actually want to do, let's keep doing this, or are y'all seeing, okay, hey, we've been successful in this space, let's now take it to another level, or y'all just gonna kind of keep it where it is?
I would say a little bit of the both. So on one end, we have a format for a film screening, and we even did a drive-in now. So every time we take a step, whether it's using a different theater or doing something outdoors, there's another another lane that we can go in from a film programmer standpoint. And so film programming is on the back end where the film is already created, and now you're just creating an event on it. But production-wise, we always wanted to be in that space as well. So we are working closely with a couple documentaries. We have one of our own. But I think the creative writing is going to come too, as far as going more on that production side, and even executive producing, which is kind of just financing the film and maybe being involved in some of the decisions behind the creative side. That those opportunities come to us. People send us scripts.
All right.
So we want to stay in our lane though. But we want to keep our options open, and those are the couple of things that we kind of have in a back burner. Being on the production end and whatnot.
Y'all want to be like the Black Hollywood.
Man, look, they say it was Jacksonville before Hollywood. Exactly. If we can bring it back.
Yeah, right.
Another thing that I keep hearing, and I haven't done my own research on this, but I just want to throw it out there so that the audience does their research on it, was that there were people from Jacksonville, people from Duval County that migrated to Harlem when the Harlem Renaissance was going on. When it was good. So a lot of the pioneers, though it's called the Harlem Renaissance because that's where it was at, from what I understand, a lot of those pioneers were from Jacksonville. And if you think about like James Weldon Johnson and some of the people that we know that are historically from Jacksonville, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. And not only that, just history tells us that a lot of they escaped from the South and went to the North because that's where they were able to create those opportunities at. So I want to get to the breakdown of how y'all put together the Jesus and the Black Messiah rollout.
Okay.
Man, I love that, man. Shout out to you. Shout out to Autumn. Jay, I see him. Man, shout out to everybody. One Bridge. Yeah, I don't want to leave nobody out. I don't want to leave nobody out, so I don't say no name. But shout out to everybody who was a part of that. Tell me, how was that, bro? Like, I seen how y'all did it leading up. I was excited just watching y'all go live and watching how y'all...
So you talking about Judas and the Black Messiah, or you talking about Coming to America?
No. The one y'all just... Oh, that was Coming to America.
With the drive-in. You talking about the drive-in?
That Regency, when y'all did that. How y'all put that together?
So it was kind of an on-ramp leading up to that because the pandemic hit right at... So... I can breeze through it. We did Queen and Slim, then we followed up with Valentine's Day. The Photograph came out, which was a love story, so it was Black love, and then we did Love Jones at the Ritz, which was, again, that's like the old classic Black love. And right after that, the pandemic hit. We had something planned in March that didn't go through exactly how we wanted to do it with the Self-Made movie, and then from March all the way to December, we hadn't done anything that was, I would say, of the same stature of the things we had done in the past regarding screening. So we did some watch parties, virtual stuff, but not what we were known for. And we were able to run it back for the first time with Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. So the reason I bring that up is because the first film we ever did was Chadwick Boseman. and then that was the first film we did in a long time. Chadwick Boseman again, this time as a supporting cast member. Right. Where he's playing in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. So we did that kind of as a very, very small private event, rooftop cocktail hour, and then we watched the film. And we had been waiting. The reason I brought up the pandemic is because Coming to America was supposed to come out in August of the year of last year, I guess. Right, yeah. And everything got pushed back because of the pandemic. And so when they switched it from being in theaters to being on Amazon, that presented us with a challenge because we couldn't work directly through the theaters at that point. So then we had
because they okay, right.
Yeah, because the theaters weren't getting it. Yeah. It wasn't like the HBO Max thing where it's like the theater gets the HBO Max.
Nah, just Amazon.
It was Amazon only. Right. So we did that coming off of Judas and the Black Messiah because Judas and the Black Messiah was the opposite situation. It was HBO Max plus theater. Okay. And we didn't want to do. Honestly, once we did Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and then we followed up with a theater event. That was the first time back in the theater was Judas and the Black Messiah. We wanted to go ahead and complete the drive-in because we had tried to complete the drive-in during the pandemic.
Right, okay.
And it just didn't work out. We were trying to do it on a specific date. We were trying to do it on Juneteenth or in that weekend, and nothing was really coming through. And so this was our chance to do drive-in because it was Amazon only, so we knew we could kind of situate it. So we linked up with One Bridge, Luke.
Shout out to One Bridge,
Luke,
Autumn. Shout out to everybody, man.
And they had a relationship with Regency Mall, so we were able to get the parking lot of Regency Mall that was on the backside of where JCPenney used to be. And we really didn't solidify the actual screen itself, like the equipment for the drive-in, until about 9 days. It was just taking a while. Yeah, about 9 days before the event. It was taking a while to get the quote really narrowed down to exactly what we wanted, but we were hinting at it, and then we went into overdrive, like you said, with the promo. So we were going live with Autumn and Luke, me, Aaron, Autumn, and Luke. We were, messaging everybody. We established a really, really big team. It was a team effort.
Yeah. I see.
We had to get lots of volunteers and lots of, I guess, partners because they were going to make money through. Like I consider like the food trucks partners.
Yeah,
because they enhanced the experience.
Absolutely.
Like had we not had the food trucks,
they the popcorn and the candy for the real moment.
It was a separate concession stand too.
Okay.
We even had a concessions little booth.
Okay.
But it was wild because it was everything was going very, very well until the radar reports kept saying about the rain. And it was like, we're in Florida. Everybody knows in Florida, like, it could be 100% chance of rain, but it
never rain, right.
Or it rain for like 20 minutes, and then it's like bright sunny day.
Exactly.
So, you got to be careful with that, though, because of the contingency plan and the rain check plans with equipment. Sometimes if you get too far in the process, you can't get your money back if they have to break down or something like that.
Gotcha.
And that's just, it's in the fine print. It's just part of the business. You gotta pay attention to that. So we decided it would be best to cancel the first two shows. So we ended up having to cancel the first two shows, which was 12 and 4. But what was crazy awesome was that each show, 12, 4, and 8, was going to be its own vibe. So we because there's a certain amount of time that it takes to kind of get the cars in. People come in BPT, so we were giving ourselves like a 1 hour window to park cars, let people eat and stuff like that. And within that 1 hour window, for the people who got there on time or early, they were gonna have some type of entertainment. So what was cool was the 12 o'clock and the 4 o'clock shows. Those people wanted to perform. It's like how many times you get a chance to perform in front of a drive-in.
Right.
I don't know of any others. I mean, I'm not saying it hasn't happened, but.
Not here.
Yeah, I know. Where there was people who rapped. There was people who did dance. It was a high school dance group. Drummers. So there was something a little bit for everybody.
I put the whole thing together.
Yeah. And almost all the performers who were going to go up stayed because they wanted to perform in front of 8 o'clock. So it was cool to see that. Again, we ran the movie and
success looked like.
I think we had. I know we had over 100 cars in 8 o'clock because we had to push a lot of them over from 12 and 4 into the ones who wanted to stay, obviously. So yeah, it was a dope experience, man, and we checked that off the list. Right. It was something that we couldn't pull it off that first time, so it was important.
Tell me about what has you so culturally involved. You know what I'm saying? Like you from since you've been here, you've been talking about it. ever since the beginning, when you started this, it was for us, and when you did this,
Right.
you was trying to do it for us. What was that start? Where did that passion come from? That's gotten you always wanting to make sure you bring something to the culture.
I think it was something I was exposed to as a younger child. So just seeing my parents were born in the 50s, so they experienced the 70s. You know what I mean? So I think being born to, they were 33 once they had me. So being born to older kids.
I remember you said that the other day. It was a trip. What'd you say? He's like, my mom and dad was 33 when they had me, so my experience is different.
Yeah,
bro.
I mean, look, I had my first child at 24, so I know I'm even different.
Right.
At 25, so
Absolutely.
yeah, so it's just like it's not quite.
It's not the norm. We don't talk about it.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can just compare yourself to yourself. It don't have to be a comparison to any other person.
Right.
You're just like, hey, I was this way when I was 20. I'm this way when I'm 40.
You feel me?
You know what I mean?
You compare yourself to yourself.
Compare yourself to yourself, and then you kind of know what that means. Like you as a business owner, as a 20-year-old versus a 40-year-old.
Right.
You're the same person, just you. With all your experience and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, I think I was exposed to it through them. Through my family since I have an older family, and also I lost faith in I lost faith in the government being able to do anything for us from a cultural standpoint, and corporations do it kind of as just like a toss to the side type of thing. It's not like a real, it's not like a real. There's not like real work being done, in my opinion. And maybe there is, but it's just so scattered between like very small grassroots things that you're not hearing about all of it, unless it's like Black Lives Matter, which and then you're only hearing the negative things about that, which there's a lot of questions about where the money resides, what's going on. So with that being said, it's kind of like, well, what I think that you have to almost force it micro, and my thought process to that is just we gotta just do it on our own. You know what I mean? So if we can get people inspired. And to be honest, a lot of people are like the future, the children, but they're not able to like mobilize just yet. So while you do need to teach these middle schoolers and high schoolers, the mobilized people are like the 25 to 40-year-olds. They're the easiest to become a homeowner or a business owner or entrepreneur or an investor. Not everybody needs to be an entrepreneur, you know what I mean? But they're the most mobilizable right now to make immediate change. So I think that's where my passion comes from. Is like we're in front of a group of people who are more educated than our comparative 100 years ago.
We got more access
to information, and though the cards are stacked against us, we could actually see it. We're literate. We could see what we're working with and overcome it because enough people have done it alone. So let's do it as a unit. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's what it is. I think that also Jacksonville specifically, I think I just saw a blank canvas. So not even just culturally in general on the macro stuff, I think Jacksonville specifically has a good chance here to be a pioneer in this next wave of renaissance and entrepreneurialism and literature, art, STEM, all of it.
Right. I was everybody that come, like everything, because I be telling people, I'm like, because we hear a lot about how Atlanta is. Everybody want to talk about Atlanta. Everybody want to talk about Houston. All these metro cities where entrepreneurship is like it's the norm there. Like you're not shocked to find out, you own what? You know what I mean? But I think we have that here.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people like you, all these people that are creating a lane and a space that we haven't seen before. It's always been here, but we haven't seen it. I think that Jacksonville, we have that same potential.
Even with recording artists, I mean, I think it's about to bust loose from film to technology. You've got a couple apps here that are starting to try and build up that were like started here, and Jacksonville is on the precipice. Jacksonville Renaissance. I mean, we were right there on the precipice of an explosion. The pandemic probably helped. It forced people to try some different things and get involved in some areas that they might not have looked into had it not happened.
Yeah. We talk about news, and I'm so glad you said it, and I didn't have to say it, because what I continue to hear from people when they come here is, I tell people, if you watch the news, if you want bad news, just watch the news. Right?
CNN, constantly negative news.
And they'll tell you black people lost this and they're losing this in this pandemic. But everybody I talk to, they use the pandemic to catapult them to the next level. So they either started a business, they've been thinking about starting, they writing a book, they've been thinking about, or maybe they already had a business and it's taking a world of its own in the middle of a pandemic. Now they telling you we losing money and everybody going broke, but the business owners, the creators, they like, nah.
Right.
We finna use this time to.
We're working on a book. Through the Culture Lounge, we had a writer's workshop with Melinda Rackley of Rack House Publishing. And the people that made it to that writer's workshop, the majority of us are writing one chapter each in a book.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so it's a compilation book.
Gotcha.
And everybody that was in February, the people who decided to join that venture will all be self-published or published authors by June.
Okay, right, because you wrote in that
4 months, and now you have a product. You know, a lot of people have a regular job or have their normal business, and now they have another stream of income through a book. And who knows if one or multiple of them write another book by themselves.
Right, because that'll inspire you to do that. You're like, man, I got products on the shelf.
Yep.
You tapped on something also, man, that I tap into all the time is I don't believe everybody's supposed to be a business owner.
No.
I just don't believe that. I believe everybody should have multiple streams of income, though.
Right.
You know, how you feel about that?
So many ways to do that. Yeah, definitely. I mean, being and there's multiple ways to be a business owner as well. So you could be a business owner by owning something that you don't really operate at all.
A vending machine.
Exactly. Stuff where it's not like if you don't like being around people so much, there's so many different lanes that you could do it in, and maybe vending machine is maybe considered more of an investment, but just get involved in something that you can care about. I mean, the stock market, Forex, all that stuff.
Right.
What finds your lane, and make sure you just have something as backup.
Right. I think a lot of us think we have to be Jeff Bezos or we have to own Walmart.
Yep.
It's like, nah, you can have a book that's just selling while you at home.
And if somebody already has the business started anyway. Ain't no telling how long that person's going to even do it. Think about how many people have started a business and not doing it.
Right.
They're not doing it no more. And you didn't start your cupcake business because they was doing cupcakes.
Right.
And they ain't even doing cupcakes no more.
They ain't even doing
They're doing hair now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And even on the flip side, maybe they selling out like it's nobody's business. That don't mean you can't do it too.
Right.
I be thinking, we in a world now where with direct to consumer relationship, there's no such thing as oversaturated. Market is no such thing as they got this thing sold up. No, they probably got that lane sold up. You just gotta
There's plenty of people looking for your product.
Plenty
of people looking for it. And you don't need all of them to get rich.
You don't.
Or to be stable, or I don't know what your goals are, but yeah, you don't need all of them.
Right. So let's talk about the Culture Lounge. That is smoking word. I'm seeing that coming up a lot. What's the ties? Well, first let's talk about the cookbook. What's your relationship with the owner of the cookbook, and how did that start?
Okay, so the cookbook restaurant is where Culture Lounge takes place every Thursday.
First, let's tell the people what the cookbook.
So the cookbook restaurant is in Springfield. Is in the historic Springfield area. I like to call it Black Wall Street as well. Going back to that because all of the businesses on that block are black owned. So it's a kind of a 2-story building with apartments on the top, and the bottom floor has a group home type of business where they help people with that. Salon, the cookbook restaurant, which has kind of 2 kitchens in it. You have Movies vegan kitchen, and you have the cookbook, which is more soul food. Then you have Ice Capade, which is frozen desserts. Then you have Boutique, Simply Kisei's Boutique. And then you have One Foxy Lady, which is an apothecary. They have like the different oils and herbs and things like that. And then at the very end, you got One Foxy Lady, which is a catering company. They also have food as well. So all those businesses black owned, a whole block. And my relationship with the cookbook is that's where we had our first after party to a Blackfilmsmatter event in Jacksonville. So we did Queen and Slim, and then we headed to the cookbook after. But it goes a little bit further than that because he was also one of my mom's students. My mom used to teach at Rains High School. So he was one of my mom's students early on when she first got to the school. And we during the pandemic, I think they had went from like phase 1 to phase 2, whatever it was. It was to the point where he was trying to do things to keep traffic up at the restaurant, stay afloat at a time when, most everything was delivery. He didn't have as much volume as before the pandemic.
You got to bring that experience.
Right. So he was like, I want you to do Thursday nights at the restaurant.
Okay.
And so we started doing Thursday nights. We started with a band.
Okay.
Then we went into... It turned into an incubator almost for other events.
Right.
So we started with a band, and then we went into doing some things for like some networking groups.
Okay.
And then we did a couple Blackfilmsmatter things there, but really what took off first was open mic.
Okay.
So Jessica Cherry, she's always done open mics before, and I don't know if the cipher necessarily stopped with the pandemic or not, but for whatever reason, they weren't doing it, and I was like, hey, you could start doing open mics here. So Smoking Word is actually a whole nother event all by itself. It's just Smoking Word is Mondays.
Okay.
But
that's what I want to get into. But it's all at the cookbook.
But no, Smoking Word is at Onyx. But it kind of, I don't want to say it launched directly from the cookbook, but what happened is once Jessica started doing Spoken Word again, or she started doing open mics at the cookbook, then they found a new location for the cipher, and then she started Spoken Word, and so it was cool because it was kind of like a retooling and a relaunch type of thing. But Jessica had already been in the game, and it was something she was already doing, so now she was back into it on a more full-time basis. But then there were other people who had never really thrown their own events. So like we started something called Mixology 101 out of the cookbook, and that's the home bartending class that Mr. Bartender does, Destiny. We ended up having somebody. Well, one thing was the writers' workshop is happening again in June. We've done paint and sips, and this young lady, she has a full-time job, but she's very talented in the art department. So now she's doing consistent paint and sips. So that's why I call it an incubator. We call it a process of collective enrichment, because no matter what it is, whether it's Real Talk Duval and we're talking about sex, love, and relationships, or whether it's a craft class, the hope is that people either A, go off and do something that makes them money with whatever they saw, or B, we've used it as a launch pad for like a recording artist who maybe people didn't know about. So we've had like a guitarist there before that a lot of people didn't know about. So a lot of people did know about him, but you know how it is, like, as many people know about you, there's plenty of people who don't know about you. Right. So launch pad for new event concepts, for old events that need to get retooled, and for new businesses.
So the Culture Lounge, which is Thursday night. What was the thought process behind it? I know you said the guy was trying to move some. He just wanted kind of like more of an experience. When you decided, or were you the one who said, okay, let's bring this to the restaurant on Thursday?
It was more so trial and error. So he knew he wanted to kind of like a happy hour vibe on Thursday nights. And from there, the vibe, the initial vibe was like live music, but I think that was just to get a sense of like who was coming, who wants to be out on Thursday nights, who is comfortable coming out during the pandemic, whether we masked up or whatever the case is. And from there, it evolved kind of on its own. It was definitely trial and error, from going from like a networking event to like deciding that karaoke and game nights need to be a staple, to dropping open mics, because once there was certain open mics opened up, it was like, man, we don't need to have 1,000 open mics. You know what I mean? So they have several open mics throughout the week in Jacksonville, which is a good thing. So we took open mics off and tried to add different things, that people weren't already doing. So
it looked like the turnout would be great.
And it's always different people because it's always something different. Certain people don't go to a paint and sip. I'm not trying to be funny. I never have purchased a ticket to a paint and sip. But now I'm throwing like a bougie paint and sip too, like on a rooftop. It's
and they look fun. I never been to one either, but they definitely look like I would have
never known. I would have never known. You know what I'm saying? We try to gravitate towards things that are enriching. I'm really excited about Real Talk Duval because that's kind of like an interactive talk show.
I've seen you launch that.
If you've been in college before, those forums, where the open forums where they talk about dialogue about different things. In a college setting, this is kind of like the adult version of that.
And that's also going to be at the cookbook.
Culture Lounge, Jacksonville, and it's going to get too big for the cookbook. So then it'll be boom. It'll be at another location.
So when y'all tell me when y'all launching that, and tell me, like, is that why you were looking for the female podcast host, or that's something different?
No, the female podcast host was not for Real Talk Duval, but it was for Culture Lounge. So there's a DJ who's from here who lives out of town now, but he saw the brand as something that can be extrapolated on beyond an event, and so that's what that is, and that's kind of like not really in motion yet. It's just still in conversation or whatnot. But no, Real Talk Duval, I think is something that's by S&K Consultants. Who is Sky and Kim. You guys may know of them from. They've done a couple of these, and they help with other events as well. But Real Talk Duval, I think, is something that will get to a place where it might need to be filmed or something like that. So it's just going to evolve from but I think definitely it'll evolve into being maybe a bigger situation where people can express themselves openly in a large setting, but with like other adults and event and all that stuff. I think it's group therapy. Even the Culture Lounge itself kind of came about from tension was high because of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. That was right in the beginning of the pandemic, or right before as well. And then the protest was going on, and this was like a decompressed place. I think that's why we started with live music.
Because music can give you a relaxing.
It was like let's be with each other and ease up. And like you said, you was talking about the news earlier. Let's like get off the news. Get off the news. Get on some good vibes.
It's crazy because when you turn it off, life is so different than what they say it is. Everybody happy.
Good to be informed, but you got to know when to. You got to self-care.
You got to know when to shut it off. So, bro, what's next? I don't know if y'all can have nothing next, man. Y'all guys like y'all planned out the 2025. So let's start with Smoking Word. What's your vision for it going forward, or you just want to kind of focus on where you at now and grow it, or do you already think, man, in 2025 I want to be doing this by now? Or?
So for Culture Lounge, I think for Culture Lounge, we consistency is key. So continuing to find different people who have something that they can bring to the city, and they do it a couple of times at Culture Lounge, and maybe it's a staple night, or maybe it's something that they do a couple times at Culture Lounge, and then they get their own night doing something else. Doing it with a different environment or whatever. Because we like to launch brands. But with
Got you in the beginning.
But with Black Films Matter, I would say a film festival. We also want to probably get into some lobbying the government for more incentives as far as filmmakers. A lot of filmmakers will be more attracted to a Georgia or California or New York, not just because the amount of talent that's there, but also because the incentives are there for you to produce
create,
the film. The incentives being brought to Florida will create more job opportunity there. So we want to be involved in all aspects of film that we could be supportive of. And I think a film festival is the next support system on our end for that, because I think it'll be something that we can educate people here in town about the film industry and the multiple lanes you can get involved in the film. It's not just acting and directing. It's everything in between. So much to it. So we want to be involved in pushing that and advancing that in Jacksonville in any way that we can within our skill set, and then just by supporting the things that are already going on within other people's skill sets.
Talk about, speaking of that, all these different positions in film. You got the Clubhouse, Florida film industry. Talk about that and what was that? What was the thought process behind getting on Clubhouse?
Yeah, so with Florida film industry, the thought process was exactly what we just talked about from the standpoint of bringing more talent, retaining talent that's here, and then also bringing some talent back in the film industry. So, I don't think there's one perennial city in Florida that's like known for film, so maybe Orlando because they have more studios and stuff like that, but not really, you know what I mean?
But they know for what they know for theme parks or whatever.
And then Miami, you have some different scenes and popular movies like Bad Boys and stuff like that, but
they're not known for movies.
Not known for movies by itself. So, that just puts everybody in position to be I don't want to say competitive, but jointly competitive for the state by being the best that they can be inside of their city. You know what I mean? With the advancement of Miami film, Jacksonville film, Orlando film, looking at each other for collaborative opportunities, but also they just came out with a fire thriller. Like, let's come out with a thriller. Documentary. Let's get Florida on the map. And I think that, that people don't like capitalism, but that's one positive aspect of capitalism is, that drive to enrich wherever you are and to advance things and to be innovative and to, it compels you forward.
Right.
And so, Florida film industry, we talk across county lines and city lines. There's opportunity. We're driving distance. We're also being in Florida more open of a state than other states. So there's just more opportunity to film stuff and capture scenes and stuff like that. With us not being on a lockdown, I mean, there's more mobility for it. So we get in there, and some people get opportunities from it, from like being an extra to being a voiceover actor to whatever. But also, that's where the lobbying came in. There was a political guy that hopped in one day, and he was like, hey, this is a bipartisan issue because it brings revenue to the state. So, a lot of times there's conservative Republicans might not want to invest into the arts, but in the instance of filmmaking, that investment into the arts, will provide more jobs,
more revenue, more
opportunity,
taxes
more revenue,
for them.
all the above. And they're anti-tax, but the money's got to come from somewhere. So you got to tax one thing to bring it into it. But I think this is one of those things that is seen more as an investment on both sides of the fence. And so, Florida film industry on Clubhouse, we get outside of Jacksonville and we get to dive in with Naples and Miami, Orlando.
Everywhere.
And it's not Black Films Matter thing either. It's me being a representative of Black Films Matter, but we're going across, wanting to work with all ethnicities in that regard, because Florida is behind California. It's not, just black film, but it's all film. We just haven't had that boost in incentives from the government to make that happen. And then you got the big wigs investing into the state. You got California investing into Florida instead of just the homegrown stuff. I think that can work from both sides.
You spoke to something earlier. I get a lot of flack for that, because I love capitalism. I think one thing I've done is I've researched all the systems. When I say systems, communism, socialism, capitalism. To me, they all have flaws. I guess like in any other thing, it all has a bad side. But the one that gives us the best opportunity to express creativity, to create income, produce income for our family, is capitalism. Our community isn't always accepting of that. How do you feel about capitalism and how involved should we be with capitalism?
I think for me, the flaw in all the systems is the people. So like that, it's human error that messes them all up. So and that includes capitalism. I agree with you that capitalism is the current model that best serves advancement of our community, because, again, just because of my distrust for a government mandated version just doesn't seem to be, it hasn't happened yet. We're still waiting on that. I guess that would be the closest thing to socialism would be, some type of reparations. I guess that as a concept, reparations might be a socialistic concept. So I agree with we should get that, because the competitive nature of capitalism, we were stifled for a certain period of time. So if there's any type of stimulus or anything that could kind of like even the playing ground, I'm all for that, and biasedly so. You know what I'm saying? Because I look like the people who were stifled. You know what I mean? So, but as far as capitalism goes, I agree with it more so because we've seen what the examples of the wrong human beings being in charge does with communism and socialism. You know what I mean? And so really the only rebuttal to that is, well, look at what's going on with capitalism. It's just as bad. So I mean, if the argument is just going to be like, oh, this is just as bad as this, is just as bad as this, then we're just talking in circles.
And so, all of them got people involved.
And all of them have people involved. So I think the way I look at it is, this is the situation or system that we're in now. So how do we best take advantage of this current system that we're in? And everything else is very futuristic, and hypothetical. We're just not. I don't see a sharp turn into socialism directly from capitalism, especially with the teeter-tottering of Republican and Democrat. It's going to be a very slow. I think it's just going to be a slower transition, if there's any transition at all. So we got to operate based on these are the rules that are set right now. We got to operate based on these rules.
Just play the cards we dealt. Man, I appreciate you coming, bro.
No doubt, man.
Hearing all that, you
I'm
are
long-winded. My bad, y'all.
No, bro, listen, you the GOAT, bro.
Nah, not me.
Bro,
Don't put it on me. They might try to knock my top off.
I know. I know.
Make it somebody else.
Man, I appreciate it, man.
I'm the undergoat, second in command.
It's all good. You coming for one. You coming for one, man. Just like I say, just sitting back, watching you, bro, and watching everything that you're involved in. I just love that. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I think sometimes we think, people think that being culturally conscious, I guess, or just being pro your people automatically makes you anti everybody else.
Not at all.
And it's not that. You know, I could prefer this, and that doesn't mean I don't like that. It just means if I have the first choice, I'm gonna work with my brother.
If anything, it's helping everybody.
Right.
You know, if we, I mean, even in our suppression, we're helping everybody with our inventions, and it's just like with our music, with our culture. I mean, we are the culture.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Right. So, I appreciate you, brother. I hope everybody that tuned in got something from this. I really appreciate bro coming through, dropping some game on us. Tell them, all right, I'll tell them the day they can tune in, come for the Smoking Word. Culture Lounge, tell them everything.
All right, so Culture Lounge is 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. each and every Thursday. Shout out to Smoking Word. I'll be at Smoking Word every week, and Jessica Cherry and Biz. That's on Onyx. That is every Monday, I think from like 8 to 1, 8 to 12-ish. They go a little later. The next Blackfilmsmatter event will most likely be at B-Sun. We got something coming up in May that we're still getting the logistics on, with a independent filmmaker who has a couple of shorts that are attached to a play that he's bringing to town from out of town. So again, attracting talent into town.
Right.
And then after that, we are considering doing another Kuangoza film, which is Ebony Payne English's visual album. It's her 6th studio album and her first film of many. She's told me the idea of another film that she has on deck, and also the plan is to expand this film. It's about 34 minutes right now, but we want to expand it into full feature. So we locked arms with her, outstanding educator. She had her world premiere back at the end of March, and that was a solid event. It was in the courtyard of the main library. So anyway, the new experience is going to be completely different. And we were talking about Harlem Renaissance. You know, Jacksonville Renaissance, definitely to have somebody who's across from Zora Neale Hurston, you know, in a mosaic mural downtown, and also she has another mural down by Arlington Expressway. So that's the next kind of move for Black Films Matter. Candyman is on the way.
Okay.
Hopefully in August, so we'll see how we want to play Candyman. And make sure y'all follow ServantKing as well.
Please.
On Instagram, I'm Trey Solo7, Black Films Matter, and Culture Lounge JAX. And servant leadership, we need more of it. We need more Servant Kings.
I'm trying to think
and you know, royalty who can get their feet and hands dirty.
Absolutely. Appreciate that, bro. All right, everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Servant Real here on ServantKing TV. Like always, we'll be back next week.
Respect. Oh, the other side. Bam.
Appreciate it.